So last year in 2024, The Verge uploaded an article talking about an interview with Hanneke Faber, I think is how you say her name, where she said that she wanted to produce a forever mouse, a Logitech mouse that would be perpetually in relevance because of a $20 subscription model where you would pay $20 a month in order to continuously get software updates to make your mouse better. This was almost unanimously hated across the board, as it should have been. But today, The Verge seemingly uploaded an article talking about how there are some aspects of this idea that are legitimate, seemingly defending this idea. And I just wanted to do a response to this article because I genuinely think this idea is so fucking goofy that I don't think it should be giving any credibility at all. I think just the idea of saying, there might have been a good point there. Done. Silenced. That's enough. No more talking for you. I apologize for how dog shit I look like in this video. Skincare routine suggestions in the comments. Let's move on. So I'm not going to read the entire article. If you want to do that, you can go ahead and look in the description. I left a link. People who buy mice don't want software at all, much less software they have to pay for. The idea they'd pay every month is ridiculous. But as I sit here with a perfectly good Logitech mouse, the best I've ever owned, I'm starting to think some sort of forever mouse wouldn't be such a bad idea. So yeah, the idea of the forever mouse wasn't bad because people said that it wouldn't be nice to have mice that lasted forever. It was because of the subscription. You know this device that you pay $150 to acquire? Yeah, $20 a month to continue to use it. That's a good idea. I just wanted to say that because I felt like that was self-explanatory. It's something I talked about initially when this article came out. Literally everyone would like mice to last forever. Literally no one wants to pay $20 a month in order to get that. And I did just want to point out that he says that the G502 light speed that he uses is a perfectly good Logitech mouse. However, for a lot of the article, he continues to say, I use a great mouse that is slowly disintegrating. In some ways, my wireless G502 is already a forever mouse. And then he says that luckily the mouse buttons and sensor have held up well, but the soft rubber grips that let me hold the gadget, after just a few years of use, they're reaching the end. They're worn down, so grubby and discolored that I can't simply clean them anymore. So this doesn't sound like a perfectly good Logitech mouse at all. He says there's one obvious solution. Logitech should sell replacement mouse parts. First of all, if you want G502 replacement grips, go on Amazon. They're already on there for like $10. You can get them. They're probably much better than anything Logitech would put out, that's for sure. So he's essentially promoting the idea that instead of a forever mouse, we need the idea that you can perpetually keep a mouse in healthy condition through repairing it. And I don't want to ever sit here and bash repairing, right to repair, user repairs, whatever you want to say, because I think if we do that, we're going to end up like the auto industry where you have to spend a shitload of money to get somebody else to fix it for you, when in reality, it was a really cheap fix if you were to do it yourself. And you have a bunch of manufacturer warranties that keep you from doing that, and as well, manufacturers purposely make repair jobs difficult so that users cannot perform them. But there are two big reasons why I don't like this idea. Firstly, Logitech themselves just do not give a shit about repairability and the longevity of their devices. Proof of this is with this microphone right here. This is my Blue mouse microphone. I had this microphone for a little while now, and I bought this microphone and it had a shock mount that would hold it so that I could talk into it. And that shock mount broke. And when it broke, I initially was like, oh, no worries, I'll just contact Blue. However, Logitech acquired Blue in 2018 and then dissolved the company entirely in 2023 or 2024. So the company that made this microphone no longer exists. So naturally, I contacted Logitech. I was like, hey, can I buy another shock mount? I need this thing for a product. You bought this company. I think the responsibility lies upon you to supply me with said thing. They said that not only do they have zero plan to support my microphone, but they have zero plans to support any Blue microphones going into the future, and that if I really needed a microphone, I should get the Blue Sona. This is a $1,200 product. And they just told me to buy a brand new thing. And as well, in this article, the author talks about how they talk to iFixit directly, and they ask, what do you want? And he says, grips. They're like, all right, yeah, well, we'll supply them. Never. So yeah, Logitech just does not give a shit about repairability. And I don't think it really makes sense in this context, because in microphones, in cars, in PCs, I think there's a lot to be said. But when you repair something, you have to consider how much money you're saving by doing it yourself. So like if I repair something in my car, I could save hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars if I do it myself. This is my G Pro Superlight from 2021. As you can see, it's got a cracked shell. The scroll wheel just doesn't fucking work. The side buttons are mushy and disgusting, and I've already had to replace the stock skates because they're so trash. So how much would I have to spend in order to fix this mouse? $20? I already spent that on the skates. $40? You mean you're gonna get a whole new shell and skates for $40? Fat chance. I bet the shell alone costs like $50 if Logitech were actually to do this. And getting an entirely new side button assembly? You see my point? Money-wise, I'm not really certain that you would save very much. And where that gap closes for me is with the time that you would save. Because as an enthusiast, if I have to repair this mouse, switch the shell out, you know, switch out the scroll wheel, you got me fucked up. I'd rather just buy a new one. And I'm an enthusiast. Imagine what the average user would think. They'd all probably rather just buy a new one. At a certain point, you're just going to end up spending more to repair it anyway, and by that point, you could take the money that you're going to spend on a repair, and since it's tech, you could get something that is spec-wise much better than what you had initially. So this is my Superlight. It cost $150 when I got it. What can I get for that? Well, this is my HitScan Hyperlight. This mouse costs $90, and it's better than the Superlight in every single way. And for $120, you could get the Superlight V2. My point is that in this space, repairing it, taking that time, taking that money in order to do so, isn't really worth it, because you're essentially just keeping something alive that is going to be outdated within 2 to 3 years. Within the lifespan of this mouse, it has already been replaced with a new model from the manufacturer, as well as almost every mouse on the market, even in the budget category, is better than it. This level of tech progresses insanely quickly, so I don't think the repairability thing makes sense. From an office perspective, if you don't like buying expensive mice for an office setting, then don't. Because with an office setting, you could literally use a butt plug that has mouse switches on it. Like, you could use anything. You just need to make the mouse click the things, and you can do that with a $10 Walmart mouse. He then goes on to say that he can't imagine spending $100 to scrap an entirely good mouse just because the rubber's bad, which I feel like we just went over that pretty extensively. He then says, do Logitech profits rely on people scrapping mice and buying new ones? Yes. If I buy one mouse, that's $150. If I buy two mice, that's $300. That continues linearly with every purchase. The math does itself. You mean the company that takes my money wants my money? This guy is just incredibly naive, and it's kind of fucking annoying at this point. He ends the article with, forget the subscription, make mice last longer. Sounds cool, but Logitech is way too autistic to do that at this point. They're the kind of brand that would much rather just scrap an idea that gets any amount of community pushback instead of trying to make it work with the community at all. They're cucked, bro. And it's why I've essentially not used any Logitech mice at my setup for the past year or so, because they are so dog shit. So that's pretty much it with this article. And I do think parts availability for people who do want that is something that would be just objectively good for consumers. And I don't want to take that away, but I don't want to give any legitimacy to the idea that Logitech should approach this forever mouse idea at all. What you should focus on doing is making good products. And you should do that for way cheaper than you're already costing, because you're not even competing with yourselves at this point. So that's going to be it for this video. I do just want to go ahead and say that for the people who watch my channel regularly, you're fucking weird. But also, I haven't really been uploading as of late, and that's because, number one, I'm a student, and so I was just being a student. And number two, I've been working on a fucking massive video. It is the most ambitious video that I've ever attempted in my entire life. It is going to be probably an hour and a half to 2 hours long. So yeah, I can't really say when it's going to come out, and I don't want to say what it's about. It's based on The Last of Us Part 2. The game has come to PC, and I wanted to make a video on it, so I don't know when that's coming out. I will just say probably before the end of the summer. Yes, it might actually take that long. I don't know. That's going to be it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.